What's up?
What's going on? Metal Dad, Thor the Red, we're coming back at you. We're drinking some tasty, frothy beverages.
It's a PBI.
Miller Lite. Yeah. When in doubt, just drink some skanky beers.
Yep. It's football season. Drink cheap beer and watch games.
That's right, that's right.
You can't drink all day in a tailgate drinking IPAs.
That's right. Well, this is the episode where we decide and discuss conference champions, and these are our predictions. Good news, the Big Ten is back. The Pac-12 is coming back. We don't know official date yet. And there's going to be some action. So hopefully come here about a month or so, we're going to get some action on Tuesday nights again. And
Tuesday night action.
it's going to be
I like to
awesome.
call it Tuesday night raw.
All right. So let's get started. ACC, who do you think?
Clemson and UNC.
Clemson, and it doesn't matter who else is in the game because Clemson's going to win. Clemson's going to make it. You think North Carolina actually might do something?
I think if they get rolling like I think they can, they've got a shot. Notre Dame's great. I know Lee Corso picked Notre Dame to go to the playoff. I don't see Notre Dame being elite. I don't see UNC being elite, but all they got to do is get there, and you never know what can happen. Eventually, someone's going to topple Clemson in the ACC. Eventually. It's not going to be Florida State, we know that. But
no, they're horrible. What happened to Florida State? They are a grease fire.
Yeah, that was awful last week. But I really like UNC. I've liked them for a while now, and if they get rolling like I think they can, they got a shot to take down Clemson. I don't think it's going to happen, but they got a shot.
All right. SEC. I got to say, it's Georgia, Alabama. LSU is not going to be there this year, I don't think. I really think maybe this is Georgia's year. I know we've lost Newman, but they've got a stable of quarterbacks. Maybe Zamir White actually takes the next level and is that 5-star running back that we all heard about in high school. But I don't know. That's kind of my thinking. And, of course, it's Nick Saban and Alabama. I mean, they just reload.
Well, I'm high on A&M. I'm not really sure what they're going to do because lately they've been kind of disappointing. But last couple of years, if you look at their schedule, their schedule hasn't done them any favors. But the Kellerman's back for his fourth year. Jimbo's recruited very well. I really think they're going to do something good this year. They can't get any worse than last year. Like I said, they had, 5 tough games? It was Alabama, LSU, Clemson, and Georgia that they had to play, and they lost all 4. I think there was another one. And anyway, I'm high in A&M, but I think just like you said, LSU, they just lost too many guys. It's Alabama in the West, and I predicted Georgia to beat them and go to the playoff. And I'm going to jump on Georgia here for a second because I'm changing my prediction.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Florida's going to take the East. I am no longer high on Georgia, and it's all because of Jamie Newman. That guy opts out, which is his right to do. JT, everyone's like, JT Daniels, 5-star recruit, transfer from USC, played pretty good his freshman year at USC, got hurt, lost his starting job due to injury to Keaton Slovis, transfers to Georgia. Well, he's not cleared to play, and Dwan Mathis, who is 16 months removed from brain surgery, is going to be the starting quarterback. Now, Dwan Mathis, for all intents and purposes, everything I've heard about him, he's an amazing athlete. Can run, he can throw, he can do all the things Jamie Newman could do running the football. He's bigger than Jamie, he's taller than Jamie Newman, just not as heavy. Jamie Newman's a better passer. Here's my problem. Dwan Mathis was your 3rd string QB. The only reason he is now going to start is because JT Daniels is not cleared.
Was he a 4-star?
Yeah, he was a 4-star. He was an Ohio State commit, flipped to Georgia, I think on National Signing Day. So you're basically going to go into the season with your 3rd string QB, a brand new offensive coordinator, 2 brand new offensive tackles, your right and left tackle. You lost DeAndre Swift, who's now playing on Sundays. Now, granted, Zamir White, James Cook, 2 5-star running backs. Kendall Milton, freshman 5-star running back. Kenny McIntosh is a redshirt freshman 4-star running back. I don't really think they're going to lose a lot in the running back department. Their wide receivers to me are an upgrade. Their wide receiver position, besides Pickens and Blaylock, has been extremely disappointing last year. Again, they lost, 4 guys to the NFL the year before at the wide receiver position. So, I mean, I kind of understand it, but
I didn't think the play calling was very vanilla last year.
it was. And I think Monken's a huge upgrade, but they didn't have a spring practice. So, is Monken going to be the savior and is going to get them rolling, scoring 30, 35 points a game? Maybe. But maybe it might not start until the second half of the season. That schedule's front-loaded. You've got Arkansas, and then Auburn comes to town, and then Tennessee, and then you go to Alabama. Tennessee is much improved now. I don't think Auburn is going to be as good as they were last year. You can't lose what they did on the defensive line and still produce defensively. So that should be a Georgia win because Georgia's still got that amazing defense. But they had that defense last year. So I'm going to go down some of the... I've been doing my work on Georgia here, as you can tell. So I'm going to go down some of the games from last year. Georgia's offense was freaking atrocious last year. So they come out, get a big lead in the first game against Vanderbilt, and then kind of sputter. And everyone's like, oh, they were just doing vanilla play call because they were up by 21. No. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, the elites, they don't give up, or they don't let up, rather. They don't have those 3 drives in a row where you only get 6 points. No, they score touchdowns, and they beat the crap teams by 40.
Right.
Georgia didn't do that last year. You look, they lost to South Carolina. They barely beat Notre Dame. They barely beat Auburn. They beat Florida, but it wasn't by a large margin, 7 points. And they barely beat Texas A&M. And against a Baylor team that, I mean, granted, Georgia was down, like 15 starters against Baylor, but they should have beat Baylor way worse. The defense kept them in the games. Probably going to be the same case this year, but when you go up against a team like Alabama, or if you get to the college football playoff, you start going up against Oklahoma and Clemson and Ohio State, you've got to be able to put up points. Look what Joe Burrow did against Clemson last year. That's what you got to do. And I don't know if Georgia can do that just yet.
Speaking of scoring, let's talk about the Big 12 conference. Oklahoma, all the way. They just keep reloading. Is Texas back? I've been hearing about Texas being back for 3 years now. Is this the year Texas is back?
I like Texas.
You like Texas?
Yeah, I like Texas. Now, the number 2 right there, West Virginia Mountaineers. I like them too.
Really?
So I like Texas, Oklahoma, and West Virginia.
Okay.
The champion of the Big 12 is going to be one of those 3 teams. And honestly, I got a feeling this is the year Texas takes them.
Texas.
I don't think West Virginia is going to win the conference, but I think it's going to be Texas, Oklahoma. I got a feeling. 4-year starter, Sam Ehlinger, dude feels like he's been there since the Great Depression. I think they're going to do it this year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know Kansas State ain't going to be doing it. They got beat the other day by...
It was a rough Saturday for the Big 12.
Yeah, it was kind of bad. Okay, let's talk about the team that just got back in the game. The conference is the Big 10, which starts, I think, the 26th of October. I think that's
Is that it or the 17th?
Yeah,
It was one of those.
One of the others. Anyway, they're trying to get an 8-game schedule in. I do like the new thing that I did like that I heard the other day. I think that's what they're doing. So when they have their conference title game, 1 and 1 from each conference is going to play each other. 2 and 2 is going to play. So everybody's going to play on that last Saturday of the season, except your 1 and first 1 is going to play in Indianapolis. And you know what? It's going to be Ohio State and probably Wisconsin. I just don't see any other scenario unless Harbaugh can figure out how to beat Ohio State, and I don't see that happening.
It's not happening. They just lost McCaffrey and I think it was Collins, Nico Collins, wide receiver. They just lost him. They opt out. I think it was Collins. I keep getting those wide receivers from Michigan confused because I know one of them transferred to Texas.
Okay.
And I keep getting the names confused. But yeah, they lost one of the top wideouts and then they lost to QB McCaffrey to opting out. I don't think Harbaugh's the answer in Michigan. It's going to be Ohio State. And I don't know. I'm kind of looking at the schedule and thinking maybe Iowa and Nebraska could do something. Nebraska's got a chip on their shoulder because they were the ones that got this ball rolling for the Big Ten. So, kudos to them. And, I wish them luck. I'm going to be a fan this year. But it doesn't really matter who comes out of those two divisions. Ohio State's taking it. It's not going to be competitive this year. It's basically going to be Ohio State beating everybody they play by 30. And then we're going to have the same discussion. Well, do they deserve to be there? Because they literally don't play anybody. And I'm not trying to shit on Ohio State. Ohio State's awesome. They should have beat Clemson last year for a bad call and a drop pass. They should have beat Clemson. And they probably would have given LSU a much better run for their money in the title game. But the level of competition in the Big Ten is really, really bad. And everyone's like, oh, but Penn State. Okay, Penn State needed a blocked field goal return for a touchdown in a ridiculous atmospheric game to beat Ohio State in one of JT Barrett's worst games. Again, talking about JT Barrett's worst games against Iowa when they got beat by Iowa. I'm not saying it can't happen. I just don't think it's likely to happen because Justin Fields is too good. Justin Fields is probably... I'm like, oh, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first pick in the draft. If I'm an NFL GM, I'm picking Justin Fields.
I would give me Fabio, but anyway. The Pac-12 conference. Now, they haven't officially said they're playing, but I imagine by end of next week that's going to be official, and they're probably going to start maybe a week after or the same time of the Big Ten. I think there's a timing thing there because the New Year's bowl games are going to be in play, and there's a certain window that you actually have to get these games in. But, of course, Pac-12, I mean, I don't know, Oregon?
To throw a dart at the teams, who knows? And honestly, who gives a shit? The states in the Pac-12, they've got stuff going on. I know that what is that? A couple of days ago, the LA County mayor, whatever, was like, "Oh, well, you can practice during these. You can't hit during practice." Like we saw how well that worked out for Navy. Yeah. I'm still undecided whether they could even play, and if they do. I like Pac-12 after dark games because I'm usually kind of drunk and ordering some buffalo wings at about that time. But I don't care who wins that conference. I'll watch because I enjoy college football. We've said that from the start. We just love college football. I really don't care. I really don't. Yeah. You like to watch the points being put up. I think the fact that people in the West Coast don't care as much as people. I mean, look at the Big Ten. People in the Midwest love football. Midwest is football. Everyone talks about the SEC, Texas, the Big 12. The Midwest is football. Man, when I think about football, I think of fall, leaves on the ground, maybe a little bit of snow flurries. That's the Midwest. People in the West Coast just don't care.
Well, is it so much that they don't care? Is this got so much to do out there? I mean, you're outdoors, year round out there. I mean, there's no real winter. I mean, it's nice weather. There's 15,000 things other to do than sit around on Saturday and watch college football. I
got a buddy that's a Cal fan, and he goes to some of the games, and he doesn't like it when there's a game that doesn't start at noon. And I was like, why? That's no fun. He goes, because I got stuff to do later that day. Me and the wife go out, go shopping, and one particular day he said he had a wedding shower to go to at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, why would you do that? why would you go to that?
I mean, it's sacrilegious to schedule anything wedding-wise in the fall. And you better make sure your team's major rival isn't being played that day. I have been to engagement parties. I believe that they sabotaged and the wife or the bride and their friends made it so that during the big game that was going to be scheduled. Yeah.
My wife informed me yesterday that there's a handful of dates this fall, Saturdays, that she's going to either have to go to weddings or some kind of wedding parties. And she knows she's going by herself. And I said, thankfully we can't go to any games this year. So I was like, you can go to whatever you want. I'm going to be at home watching football.
Okay. Final four.
Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, and Alabama, which is not exciting. I mean, Texas is in there. I don't know. I love college football, but I kind of get bored. Clemson's fairly new being good. I know that Ohio State has been to the playoffs, twice? Or 3 times. Right. They've lost to Clemson twice, and they won the title.
Yeah,
but I just like seeing other teams. The year Michigan State got in, the year Georgia got in, even Notre Dame. But I think it's going to be Alabama, Texas, Clemson, and Ohio State.
Okay. I'm going to go with Georgia's getting in this year. Clemson, Ohio State, Bama. Get two in the SEC.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be the year we made the first round. We might get a Georgia Alabama mixed matchup depending on how was it week 4 Georgia and Alabama plays.
Yeah, week 4.
Winner takes it. Alabama maybe runs the table. Maybe Georgia plays LSU in the SEC title game, or A&M. Who knows? They may sneak in there in the equation. They may factor in. Clemson, Ohio State. I don't know. I keep getting torn between Georgia winning all. I've been calling Georgia all the time, all since the season ended, and everything looked so good early in the spring, and then Corona happened, and then they lost Jamie Newman. So now I'm thinking more Clemson and Ohio State will probably be in the title game some way, somehow.
I'm thinking it's going to be Alabama versus Ohio State.
Okay.
And I think Alabama takes it because there's nothing that should instill fear in a team more than a pissed off Nick Saban. It's been 2 years since he's won a title. This would be going on year 3 since he's won a title. They lost 2 games last year. But they're bringing back a loaded defense. They're bringing back a loaded offense too. Really, they lost 2 wideouts in Tua. And what we saw from, Matt Jones last year, the dude can still sling it around. And it's not that hard when you've got guys like Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle to throw it to. Najee Harris running the ball. And that defense is going to be really good. Now, Georgia has fallen for me, like I discussed. And like I said, I did my research on them this week, and I'm not too optimistic about them. However, if they can reload like the elites can, when they should, because they've got 2 number 1 classes in a row, and then last year they were number 2 recruiting classes. They've got the talent. They should be able just like every other team. You lose your left tackle to the NFL, next guy up steps up and is an all-conference left tackle. They've got the talent and the players to do that. If the offense is a huge question mark, if Monken can have them rolling, and let's say they get to Alabama 3-0. Well, it don't matter if they lose to Alabama. If they can get to Alabama 3-0 and that offense is rolling, they're running the table. But to me, that's a huge if.
Well, we're going to find out here next week. So that's going to call an end to this episode. Check out Exploring the Suck podcast. T-shirts available on Teespring. Hawking my wares. Check out my book on Amazon.com, The Evolution of Thor, the Appalachian Trail Story, Thor the Red. And smash the like button on this video. Subscribe. And if you would, check us out. Tell a friend. Anyway, you guys have a good day.
See ya. I didn't cuss this episode.
No, you did.